I moved to Spokane in about it was between 1984 and 85. It's hard for me to remember because my life was very nomadic and my family was the survivors of much trauma. And so my timeline is pretty skewed. I have a hard time putting it together. I've since then lived in Spokane many years. I leave and I keep coming back. I really thought about what do I want to talk about, and I think what I need to share is my truth. So when I was just turned 16 years old, I went off to live on my own for a variety of reasons I'm not going to go into. And I had a job. I was a little punk rock girl, very introverted, but I looked very, very wild. And my management changed at my job, and my new employer didn't like my look. And so he disciplined me for a very negligible thing by not allowing me to work for 2 weeks. So I lost my apartment. I was 16 years old, there was no coming back from that. I hauled what I could to an art studio at 123 Arts where I paid $50 a month to live. And I was there for a little bit until I was assaulted in the night and traumatized yet again. And from there, I floated. I floated on the streets of Spokane. I was kicked out for life from River Park Square because I would go in there to get warm. They actually recognized me when I was about 20 years old, a security guard did, and reminded me that I was kicked out for life as I was carrying my infant. So I slept on a grate at times that is now the parking garage for the Spokesman Review. It had good light and heat came up from it, but I was oftentimes told I had to leave because you're not allowed to be there. At that time, I could walk the streets of Spokane all night long and not see another homeless individual. I was alone, I was scared, and I had nowhere to go. Crosswalk opened up about halfway into my unhoused situation and served a meal once a day. That was the beginning of Crosswalk. They were right near 123 Arts, over near where the old Greyhound bus depot is, which is now turning into this revitalized area. I left Spokane because there was no help for me, and I was just not surviving. And I went to Seattle, where I found a place called the Orion Center. It was in downtown Seattle, and they serve the LGBTQ community and any other youth that were at risk of being trafficked. And I would go there every day. They would feed me. They would let me study for my GED because I was an avid student. I've been a 4.0 student up until I became homeless. I think I'm telling you this because people have so many perceptions about how you become homeless, about who you are, what you must have done wrong to get there. I never tried a drug until I was homeless. I'm going to be really brutal and really vulnerable here. I never had sex prior to being homeless, until after I was raped on the streets, homeless. So I know that's not something that people are comfortable hearing, but that's the reality of homelessness. We are unprotected, we're alone, and we are targeted. I eventually became pregnant, and that was actually my exit from homelessness. Our system is so broken that as a teenager, there were no financial avenues to exit homelessness. And then I became pregnant, and someone said, "Oh, you qualify for welfare now." I was like, "What's that?" And I got $300 and something a month. I got an apartment. I told myself I'll be a mom for a year, and then I'm going to school, and I did. And my trajectory went forward from there. I did experience homelessness again in my 20s when my home burnt down in a massive fire up in the Okanagan. And again, it was extraordinarily hard to climb out of. I lived in a school bus with my 3 children in a field on a piece of property that was for sale, and I knew the owner was in California, so they wouldn't know. But I climbed out again. Today, I am the executive director and one of the 3 founders of Compassionate Addiction Treatment. Woo! And this work, it means everything to me. We did something that seemed common sense, but what I'm learning, I didn't know much about systems. I don't have a really high education. I went to community college for small business, and then I went and ran my own business for 12 years. Then I went back to community college for something that feeds my heart, and I became a substance use disorder professional counseling people. And I lost my train of thought. This is so hard.
You're doing awesome!
Thank you. So once I became a substance use disorder professional, I got into a field where I learned, that's where I was going, how little I knew about systems. I got into a field that is all about systems, and I didn't know it. And I struggled with what the people I was working with were going through, how hard it was to exit homelessness, how hard it was to move forward in life, how hard it was to be seen as a human, to be seen as valued, to be heard. And it put me right back into my own trauma of homelessness and how hard it was then and how much harder it is now. The rate of homelessness, I don't have scientific numbers. I know that when I walked the streets of Spokane in the 1980s, I saw nobody. When I walk the streets of Spokane now, I see everybody. It is so filled with people with nowhere to go, with no safe shelter, they're so vulnerable, and it's such a risk on a daily basis. And then we as a society appear to look at these people, and I'm not saying all of you, I'm just saying the common we, that we as a society look at folks who are out there unhoused as, if only they'd get a job, if only they had done this, if only they had done that, if only they would clean up after themselves, if only they wouldn't poo in people's doorways. I will tell you from experience, that's about the most private place you're going to find. So it's not about trying to harm people or degrade another business. It's about taking care of a bodily function in the most humane, non-humiliating way that you can, based on what's available to you. So I saw all of this, and then I worked on the streets with people who had recently overdosed on heroin. And I met with people that wanted help so badly. And everywhere we would turn, I would partner with them and we would walk hand in hand. And everywhere we would turn, I would literally be faced with, I would have someone standing here saying, I want help. And I would have someone looking at us and literally saying, they don't want help. I want help. They don't want help. And I was like, what is going on here? This dissonance is like unreal. And so I realized that we have a real problem and that we have to learn how to partner with people. So that's what we're doing at CAT. We're zero barrier, we're harm reduction. We're about what do you want to do with your life and how can we support you. I don't believe that we're special. I believe we're just doing the next right thing. I believe that what this march is about is doing the next right thing. And I think that if we can pull more people into understanding that it's as simple as that, just doing the next right thing, we can truly impact our systems and make changes. So.